espresso coffee thing.
This is a cortado. It's a little bit of steamed milk, a lot of espresso, a little bit of flavor. Delish.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna smoke our morning cigars that are totally arbitrarily paired
Aussie.
with coffee. So what should we go with? I really want to try the nub. What is he doing? You couldn't hit that if you were trying. Okay, I'm gonna try the nub.
The nub? You're gonna do in the nub?
I'm gonna try the nub. What should we give you? We've got a Jordan Classic.
Oh man, we got quite the selection there.
Do you like the Monte Cristo whites? Because I've got one that's similar to that.
Yeah.
I don't have it right here. Let me go grab it.
Okay.
Talk to the people about something useful. I'll be back.
So Alex is going to be editing this later. You are a hobo. Just the worst kind of person. Oh, you're back.
Excellent. I'm glad you didn't say anything to the people so that I could cut that part and not feel bad about it. I'm going to watch it. All right, here we go. This is the Olvia, Connecticut.
Olvia.
Yeah.
Not Olivia.
I mean, Oliva is what I mean.
Oh.
Also, you said it was Olivia.
It's not.
Where's the second I?
There's no second I.
I was so confused when I went back and looked at it. All right, let's light them up. I guess I'm gonna go with the cut because I don't know if I can punch this and like feel good about it. Oh no, it's just right at the limit for my cutter. Yes.
If you feel comfortable or not.
Oh, I don't know if I could suck through this massive cigar with a punch cut.
Yeah, you could definitely. I would probably have recommended a punch cut
Maybe
for that size.
It's a little dry. All right, cool. Do you want a punch?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, for cigars.
I
I think after a certain size and
You cut smaller ones, but not bigger ones?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because I mean I don't want that much draw.
Oh, dude, I need the draw. That's the point of the nub.
It's not.
It's like the bone shaker.
I'm not convinced.
You remember the bone shaker?
I do.
It was like this, and you're like, the just mountains of smoke. Should I lick mine? The classic method. All right, let's try it.
I really want to down mine.
Oh yeah. Having trouble getting it all lit. It's so big.
Yeah, that's a fatty.
All right, there we go.
Let's try this guy out.
What time is it? We gotta check the. Oh no. Oh. One small omission. I'm gonna go get the crystal bowl.
So this is actually very common in spending time with Alex Johnson. He just disappears all the time. He just goes and gets things, and I sit here and wait. Oh, the crystal.
I've got the $150 Waterford Crystal Bowl as our ashtray today. Well, in editing the last two podcasts, I noticed that the first 8 minutes of both of them were really slow. So we're going to start over. All that will go to outtakes.
Well, that's good. All right. So I've
Welcome.
got the.
Oh, hold on. What's this podcast? Welcome to the Grabin podcast.
That's right.
With Foster
That's
and
right.
Alexander.
Yeah. Alexander. I like the upgrade. And
Yeah.
it's not an upgrade. I mean, it's accurate.
It's the nub upgrade. Alex is like the nub of the Alexander.
You've got what?
I've got the nub by Olvia,
Well,
Connecticut. Nub, Connecticut. And you've
it's
got
not Olvia because the I is before the V.
Oliva, it's what I mean.
Oliva.
Oliva.
Yeah. So
sounds like a back pain medication.
Olivia, your pain.
Try Oliva. Be olieved.
Yeah, and I also have the Oliva Connecticut.
It's basically the same cigar. Mine's just short and fat. Yours is long and skinny. Which would you prefer, ladies? Or gentlemen, that is.
So far south.
Excellent. Well, we have the Cortado coffee
Oh,
pairing.
yeah. We need to get close-ups, like B-roll, of these once we hire someone.
Excellent.
To
So
help us.
second cam.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
FS700 slow-mo shots. Slow-mo smoke shots. Yeah. Anywho, what should we talk about today?
That'd be so funny if we like took a break to go do like some cutaways of us like slow-mo cigars.
Yeah, we're pause. We'll be back in the cigars. Will be
like
half
this
as long.
Action, yeah. No,
Action shots.
Action shots of.
We get to like put it on the round table. It's like
Just like
extreme
rotating.
lighting. The
On the lazy
RGB
Susans.
lights.
Yeah. So the goal of today was to step back, which we often don't do, being in our
I guess
businesses, and just take a step back and get more perspective.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, and I know for you, when we get into something, it's really hard. Like we just get tunnel visioned.
Yeah,
and
you focus so hard on getting
so
that
hard.
thing done that you don't stop to think, is this a good idea? Should I be doing this? Do I want to be doing this? You're 100 hours in, like, what the frick have I done for the last 2 weeks?
Yeah. So it's just like sometimes we get lost in the how, and maybe we should be asking more why or
Yes.
what.
I sometimes am confused. I guess we're actually stepping back now, because a lot of times I'll be like, well, I'm a personality type. I'm like always going, always strategizing, and employees are like always just doing the work. So it's like you get into the employee mentality of doing the work as the employee of your own business versus strategizing.
That's my gripe with a lot of business owners, is that they're not business owners. They're just self-employed.
They're owners of a job.
Yeah, they
Because
own their own job.
How do they
That's
call in
literally
sick? How do they not go to work? It's like, hey, I'm calling in sick today. Oh, you can't. There is no backup. There is no replacement. It's just you.
Yeah, and I mean, I've fallen into that category where I literally have created a job for myself.
You're right. If you called in sick to the podcast, who would show up?
Yeah, exactly.
You've done it again.
Yeah, I've done it a second time.
I guess
there's,
on purpose.
There's no way to replace what I do and outsource. Whereas you're more systemizing and actually building something that could become a franchise where I'm just like, it's too niche, it's too specialized. I need to start, like, that's what I'm doing right now. I just need to start my own business, which is why I've got this food truck guy.
Yeah.
So I can just like have a business and make money with the business and then do my dream job, which is marketing and advertising and branding. But I could also do that for my own business too. So
That'd be interesting.
that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm kind of like shifting gears. The only problem, it's not a problem, it's a blessing, is that my number one client is super 100% loyal. And I can't just leave him hanging. So I'm tired.
You can't stop working for him?
I can't stop. Yeah, I can't stop, won't stop.
Good.
So yeah, I can't just like drop him because we're too far in. We're too far invested. We're too far, and like I'm irreplaceable in his lineup. But also I'm not bringing in enough in order to satisfy. I mean, I'm bringing in enough in order to satisfy my goals. But I now have shared goals with Nicole, and it's not enough to satisfy.
From that one customer or for the customer? I mean,
for our lifestyle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'm not bringing enough revenue from this one client in order to dedicate the time that I need in order to do the things that we need to do.
Yeah.
And also there's overhead, which can't be ignored. I mean, if he wants a video or if we want something, I mean, there's just overhead. And there's not enough profit, or there's not enough money for that overhead. So it's bottlenecking different. It's bottlenecking himself. I mean himself, and he's spending so much money on other people and other things. I want to shake him by the collar and be like, stop doing that. Save for like 3 months. Wait for the season. I know you're trying to get money back in return, but stop dumping money when it's not the right season because people aren't trying to buy right now.
I mean, it's still 90 in California.
That's true. It is 90 in California. So,
Which I don't know. Is that
that's kind of where
is
he's
that
at.
you being bogged down in your own work too much? Is telling him to stop doing that instead of stepping yourself back and strategizing? Okay, so he wants to sell now. Instead of telling him what to do, find a way to make his plan successful.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not if it's a stupid plan, but.
Well, the most recent resort that we've resorted to, but the most recent thing that we did was he's been generating cold leads through different advertising, and I've been just getting on the phone and calling these people up, and I'll call 20, 30 people, and then one of them will answer. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I saw that ad and wanted to learn more. Like, what is it? Mm-hmm. And so I have to start educating people on what the product is. And it's really hard to educate somebody and then also sell them at the same time.
You know what you need to do? This guy came over to my house because our windows are awful, and I might replace them myself. But this company was, like, cheap enough. I might just let them do it. But this guy came, and he was like, hey, I'd like to set you just an appointment setter came. He's like, we did your neighbor's windows. Your windows look old. Do you want a quote on windows? And we're like, sure. So then the salesman comes over, gives us the initial pitch. He's like, I'm going to measure your windows, give you a price. And then like the further in we get, the deeper in we got with him. And he's like, I'm going to measure the windows. Then he measures the windows, comes back with this massive briefcase of like window samples and different design things and different energy efficiency things. And like this heat lamp to demonstrate how power efficient their windows are and how much energy you're going to save. And he keeps going and going and going. And I'm like, I need these windows right now. Like, he was impulsing me. He's like giving me Ozzy, don't eat the leaves.
Ozzy.
So he was educating me on windows and why I should buy their windows and why their windows are excellent and why we should use them to install. And why all the competitors are terrible and, not what you want to buy. And I was like ready to spend the 10 grand that he's about to pitch me on because his sales system was so good. So all you need to do is have this guy over and hit record and be like, that is interesting. You should sell me some windows. It'd be a waste of his time. But it was so good. I was like, I'm an awful salesman. Listening to this guy, like me selling AT&T for $100 a couple years ago, it was a simple pitch. It's $100 a month. It's not that hard. People already pay that for Comcast or whatever. Very easy switch. He's trying to pitch me on a $10,000 sale. And he's like, I guess we could do 2 or 3 windows, but like, we can give you the best discount if you do all of them. And I'm like, oh man, it's such a good deal. And he's like making me want it and making me realize how bad of a salesman I am. Because when I pitch like $5,000 items to my customers, they're like, okay, sure. And it's just because I'm standing there is the only reason they went with me. And I lose a couple of sales because I'm not that good of a salesman. And I'm like, this guy is a freaking genius. So you should, you should have him out. So if you think that you're not, if it's hard to educate the customer and sell to them, I think you just need to get better at sales. Because this guy was about to make me spend 10 grand, and he's like, oh, and we offer financing. And I'm like, man, I'm like a Dave Ramsey nut, and like, I can't do financing, but I might do it because it's such a good deal. Like, that's how much I was into this guy's pitch because it was so good. So anyway, get good.
Yeah, there's a get good part, about it. There's definitely that, incorporated. But then there's also just like time, like, opportunity cost and time spent, right? How many times am I going to how many things have you bought over the phone though? Like, there's a difference between in-person door knocking versus over the phone. Has anybody ever called you and sold you over the phone?
No.
Okay. So I would agree that if I went and Google mapped rich people's houses, knocked on the doors and said, hey, look, I understand that we're out of the season right now, which is exactly why I'm coming to you.
We couldn't knock here, but...
We couldn't knock here. Well,
Trip to California.
Man. Right. So...
I'm not saying you should door knock. I'm saying if you were better at sales, your sales writing would be better. Then your Facebook ads would do better.
Agree. I would definitely agree that my copy has been the weakest part of what I've been doing, which is why Rich Harmon Brothers is like
Yeah.
the biggest online marketers out there as far as ad agencies. I mean, they're just crushing it. They crush it so hard.
You give them a thing and they'll tell you how to sell it.
Yeah, so if
and
you're not familiar with the Harmon Brothers ad agency, they did Poo-Pourri, they did the Squatty Potty, they did...
they do things that are hard to sell,
yeah,
but they find a way to make
Purple.
it funny and interesting.
They did the Purple Mattress.
Yep.
They did...
it's funny, when I heard they did all three of those, I was like, all the scripts sound very similar.
They are.
And the way that people talk in the videos and maybe the actors they got are all very similar types of people.
Yeah. Yes. So
it's genius.
It's called the Harmon Brothers Method, and they have a method. And I went through the 14-day course and learned their method on how to pitch and to write scripts and stuff. And that's a huge part of it. And that's overcoming a lot of objections from buying online, which I think is where the most reach comes from.
Yeah.
Anyways, because when people are distracted, are they distracted by other people in the home? Probably not. They're probably distracted by things on their phone.
And the cheapest reach.
And the cheapest
reach. Like the cost for you to sit around and call people for half an hour, if they even bother to talk to you at all.
Yeah, or show an advertisement to literally a million people.
Yeah, show it to a million
for
people.
like $50 or whatever it is.
Yeah, and 50 of them care, and 20 of them need it, and 10 of them have the money, and 5 of them want it now.
Right, and there's no but. It's just the production cost of one of the Harmon Brothers videos, or even like a B tier. I think the Harmon Brothers videos are in the millions. But
well, yeah, if you're selling purple mattresses, selling thousands of them.
Yeah, the budget for the videos that they did, is in the millions. And other like their people that they teach, they've got like the university going on right now that they launched. I guess I don't know how long ago, but it's really doing a good job.
Like getting one of their students to do your commercial?
Well, yeah, like you could do that, or you could become a student, or that's what I'm doing. I've become a student and I'm learning all about their method and their techniques and stuff. But then you also get to after you're done with the course, you get to be a part of the alumni on Facebook, like a private group. And you get to see people do their own videos based off of the Harmon Brothers methods and for critique and review, and you get to see their budgets, and even the B tier ones are in the $30,000 range.
Love it. We're in the wrong business. This is why I don't do film as a career. But the thing that would make me the happiest in the world is to make no money and call up the Nub brand, the subcategory of Olvia, and be like, you have 0 commercials. Your whole branding is based on that company already being established and this one just being associated with it because it's the same tobacco and the same family and whatever. But call these people up and be like, can I make you a commercial? You pay for the commercial, don't pay me. I want to go and do that. Because I enjoy films, that's fun. I enjoy cigars, that's fun. 2 things I'm passionate about. If I made no money, I would love just going to do that shoot.
Well, that's why it's very competitive, because there's a lot of people out there like that who want to do that.
Yes, lots of people will just do it for free for a very long time while they work their day job, and then in the evening they go and shoot a music video. I feel like I've been
doing it for free for 10 years.
Well, that's why I quit 5 years ago.
I know. So, and I'm just kind of tired of doing it for free.
That's why we step back. Take a look at why you've been doing it for 10 years and how you could pivot and make an astronomical amount of money more.
Well, here's where I'm at. I'm just people need to eat. People need to eat. I mean, even in the worst recession possible, people still need to eat. So, sell them food. Okay. And that's why...
I was like, where are you going with this?
Yeah.
Now you're going to the food truck, right?
Food truck. I'm back to the food truck. Okay. Because it's just the average food truck is pulling in, $50,000 a month, the average. The top ones are doing crazy good, anywhere between quarter of $1 to 1.5 in just the seasonal months. And I'm just I see what they're doing, and as far as the marketing and the outreach and everything, there's so much missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen an advertisement for a food truck before on Facebook. Like around lunchtime when I'm hungry, when I'm like trying to figure out what I want to eat. I've never seen like...
That's interesting. So they just don't buy the ads?
Food trucks don't need to buy the ads. They're 100% foot traffic
so they
based.
just park in the right spot.
So they just park in the right spot, pay wherever they are to park there, and that's their advertising model. Whereas you could use Grubhub, Uber Eats, whatever delivery systems that you want, and pay for those platforms, and then run a Facebook ad and reach literally everyone around you in a 2 or 3 mile radius who it would be like $2 or $3 for a delivery. And now you've got quite a lot more traffic than just passerbys.
Cool. Well, I'll send over my little brother on a bike, and he can do the Jimmy John's thing. Like, we don't deliver outside a 5-minute radius for maximum freshness. Then just like hand him a bike and a basket, send him on this way.
Well, I thought about like when I was working part time for the Cousin's Lobster main truck. I showed up like 30 minutes early to the shift. The truck wasn't even there yet, so the truck was like 30 minutes late. So I was sitting there in the parking lot for an hour.
Gosh.
And literally what came to my mind was I just need to be knocking on each door saying, hey, look, Cousin's Lobster Maine is going to be here, and I would be happy to deliver it to you for free and just work off of tips. You know, there's somebody's out there who's like, I need work, and just be like, look, if you need work, we're an established restaurant. We're going to this really nice, rich neighborhood. A lot of the customers don't know we're here. Knock on their door, hand them a menu, and say, is there anything that you'd like? Give me a call. My number's on the bottom. Text me your order, and I'll bring it to your house.
Interesting.
Like, just make it super easy for them so they don't even have to come to the food truck and just be like, yeah, I'm running around on my little bicycle right here, and I'll, put my stuff on the back tray or on a backpack or something, and here you go.
We interrupt this excellent speech to bring you a grab that ash moment. Don't just grab that ash, but grab that ash stickers off. Hit me up in the Instagram DMs.
Oh yeah.
To get your very own grab an ash sticker, because I'm about to grab this ash.
Don't do.
It's cold. It's ash. Look at that. I grabbed that ash.
Oh, why did you do that?
I don't know. We don't have a reason. Madison was talking about, that your logo for Grab an Ash has nothing to do with Grab an Ash. It's just a cigar.
You're grabbing the cigar.
And she was like, "Do you want me to put a hand on there or something?" I'm like, "I don't know." So now we can screenshot that, me grabbing the ash, and now we have it. Anyway, back to your food truck story.
So there's just a lot of different missed opportunity.
Well, I think
because imagine having like the sales guy that's selling you $10,000 windows use that same method on food. Like,
what I'm saying is, since we're taking a step back, to take a step back from what you're saying, you're talking about, I think, technician-y stuff, how to sell something, not why to sell it, or like selling door to door, excellent method of selling. Selling on Facebook, excellent method of selling. So which one do you want to spend 20 hours on? Both? Then spend 40 hours? Then how are you going to work in the food truck or design the next?
There's a lot of different...
I'm saying they all work. A commercial, a post, a social, organic. 3 mile radius ads, knocking on doors, hiring some dude to deliver on bike.
I mean, all of these different things, every single one of them is not being taken advantage of, and the average food truck is making X amount of dollars.
Without doing any of
Without doing any of this kind of application, which is why I think there's a competitive edge to be made here.
Is there margin in the food truck industry to do all of that and pay all those things?
Well, you would create margin if there wasn't.
Well, there's a limit on how much you can sell a hot dog for.
Sure, there is. But, I mean...
Unless you're at a football game, then it's $12 regardless. Somehow they get away with that. I'm always bitter when I go to sports games. I'm like, really? $12 for a beer? I could buy I could start a beer factory and start producing beers on my own and then come back to the game in time to catch the touchdown for $12. This is so expensive. You got to grab that ash. Oh, told you.
Oh, that was a good call. That was a nice timing,
it popped right off. Yeah, it would have gone right in your lap. It would have been great. What are we at right now? We're at 25 minutes, and I'm only like halfway through this.
I know.
I thought this would go way faster.
Yeah.
It's just so thick.
Yeah.
Also, perfect. I think I should have gone with a punch. It's like such a loose draw. I mean, I can get a ton of smoke off one draw, but it's just like no resistance.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying with those bone shakers. I probably should have punched them instead of...
That was too much. The bone shaker's dark.
Yeah,
That's why we have the Connecticut's, because like this actually went pretty good with the coffee. It's like
did.
just barely sweet coffee
It did.
with these that are like, I don't know, how would you describe the flavor?
The flavor is, I would say it's really close to the Monte Cristo whites. I would say that your description was very accurate, where it's just smooth, it's easy, it's...
These are $2 cheaper,
Yeah, so...
but very similar in terms of quality. I'd say it has a slight twang that I didn't love, but it actually went away the longer I smoked it.
That's true. Yeah, the initial... There was an initial kind of punch to the cigar that you could just kind of get used to after a while.
Yeah. It either goes away or it just fades as the cigar warms up.
If you want
or
that
whatever.
extra punch, that's fine. But like, you know, what I really, I guess, I don't know how to describe the flavor. It's very vanilla to me.
I was gonna say that about this, which is maybe because of the coffee, but in the coffee it was like a cinnamon. It was like almond milk with espresso and like a cinnamony sugar stuff.
Yeah, I wonder how much the coffee influenced the taste of the cigar.
Definitely, like, the point is it complements it and like brings out different flavors.
Yeah.
Like if you have Italian food right before this, you're gonna get like more of a woody, earthy kind of a feel because the oregano or whatever that's still sitting in your mouth.
Okay.
Which is why there's so many descriptions of cigars. It's like, oh, it's creamy, it's buttery, it's cedary.
It's like, well, yeah, what did you just
nutty.
eat just
Like,
before then?
Yeah. And depends on the whiskey or whatever you're drinking. So it's like, it's so influenced. And your individual palate. Like I heard it described this way one time. The guy said, I grew up around on a horse farm. So when I taste a cigar and go, that's leather, other people that didn't grow up on a farm are like, there's this taste I can't identify because they don't know that smell from their entire childhood of leather and like manure and just horses. So he's like, yeah, that smells like leather. It tastes like leather. And somebody else would be like, it kind of just tastes like a farm. And they can't go into the individual things because they don't know that flavor.
Speaking of farms, I ran into this guy at Costco, and he's an older gentleman, and he was looking at this throw blanket, and he was like, "Oh, this is super soft," and I was like, "Oh yeah, man, they're super soft. Too soft for me. I don't know what I do." And he's like, well, "What did you do? Grow up on the farm and
with burlap
and burlap?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yes, I
sure did. He's like, where at? I was like, Jolton. And he's like, Jolton? I was a coach at Jolton. Where are you from? And so as far as
homeschooled,
we talk, I know. He was like, which school did you go to? I was like, homeschool. But anyways, the guy was like, on the list of things that you can get away with when you're old, one of them is be an authoritative figure of where good people are geographically.
That's fun.
And he was just like, "Oh, you're a Jolton boy. You're a good boy. You're a good man right there. Like, all those Jolton boys are good."
Oh. I would have expected him to be like, smoke a lot of meth. Like, no, look, my teeth.
Yeah. So, it's just...
That's funny.
But, that's like one of the things where when I get old, one of the things I want to do is like, "Oh, yeah, you're from Franklin. You must be a good kid right there." Just like, even if it's not true, just that kind of positive reinforcement. It's just such a feel-good thing, and it's free, and it's such a good thing to do, and you can't really do that when you're not older.
Yeah, you're like 25.
You're like 25, and you're talking to somebody old.
It's a good part of time.
That's a good part of time. You must be a good kid.
Like,
and you're
what
like,
the heck are you
what are you talking about?
You're like, I'm a terrible person. You don't even know.
So
that's hilarious.
But it kind of like speaking things into reality.
Yes.
Is words are very powerful, and so when you kind of speak things into reality, you just kind of take ownership of that.
Yeah.
And so if you say, "Hey, you're the crap kid," or "You're really bad," kids take that and they're like, "Oh, well, I guess I identify as a bad kid now. I'm gonna do the bad kid things." But I don't know. It's just super powerful how
words are powerful, but they don't always act like you think they should. Because I was just reading a book, and the guy's like, there was this family, and they had twins.
Okay, so that's true. That's also true. I so that's actually really good because I guess where we're really going into here is tribalism. We're talking about tribalism right now, and there's like a innate form of wanting to fit in as humans. So if you say you're from here, those people are
Good people, yeah.
then by association or affiliation, you should be.
You better represent.
You
the
better
good
represent,
people.
or else
Yeah.
you're not.
That's interesting. Thought.
You know, versus saying, "Oh, you are good just by your own merit." I think is the difference in that analogy. Because if you keep telling your kid, "Oh, you know, you can do anything. You're really good at this, whatever," that's not as strong as saying you've got a strong bloodline or you represent your last name. Like, you know, your last name is really important, so you're held to a different standard. Like there is a difference in the way that works, and that's super interesting that you brought that up.
His mom always
That's
told
Jordan
him.
Peterson's first chapter. I don't know why it turned off.
Is it going again?
Yeah, I put it on again.
Awesome.
So.
Well, we got 35 minutes then. Cool. And we're back.
Sorry about the technical.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matthew McConaughey's mother.
So he says, mothers impart to your children that they are winners because momentum is a huge concept.
It is.
The more you're winning,
It is.
the more you're willing to take chances to keep winning. The more you're outgoing and people are like, you're a winner. I want to work with you. So if you start out childhood, like his family wasn't wealthy or interesting. They were like from a little town in Texas, and his dad sold pipes and like was not that great of a dad. And his parents were divorced 3 times and married 4 times.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, who does that? So he had a weird upbringing, but he identified that as my mom told me I was a winner. She taught me to be a winner. My dad taught me to work hard and make something of myself. But because he was a winner, he just walks around with confidence and people are like, excellent, let's work with you. Because momentum is so big, and he was like identifying the momentum started so early that by the time he actually started doing something useful, he was already set up to be successful. And for whatever reason, that didn't happen for all of his siblings. they're all like moderately successful. He's like multimillionaire, but they're all fine. They're doing great. They've got their businesses, their jobs.
Yeah, that's fine.
But they had the same family, so it's like kind of individual. Maybe he's just cut out to be a successful person. Who knows?
Well,
without blaming genetics, he identified that as he got the right mix that helped him be who he is.
Sure. No, and then there was
So what I was going back to is, so we have the story about loser who spitefully is successful at his parents for calling him loser.
He could be spitefully successful.
But then Matthew McConaughey, who,
as we know from the Force and Star Wars, is very, very powerful.
Feel it.
Let it flow through
Let it
you.
flow through. I mean, Darth Vader is successful because the hate flowed through him.
Yeah, he is.
But Luke was more successful because he fought it or something. Anywho, so that's why
I think he was just younger and had more midichlorians or whatever.
Who, Luke?
Yeah.
Darth Vader had the most midichlorians of anyone ever measured on record.
Except it's physically, he was just like so decapitated in so many different parts. It was just less
decapitated, dismembered.
Dismembered.
Yes.
Yeah, not decapitated. Yeah, it would be his head. But like, yeah. So like, wrong word.
Close
but
enough.
Dismembered. He was so dismembered, like he was mostly robot. And it was just less of him. So even though he had more percentage.
Saying he needed to upgrade his tech?
No, tech can't
upgrade his arms.
Tech can't hold
Luke had one arm or one hand that was fake.
After he.
Oh, so you're saying all the midichlorian chunks?
Yeah.
He lost enough body parts that even though Luke started with less, he still ended up with more.
Yeah.
That's an interesting theory.
And the other theory about Star Wars that I think everybody misses out on is that really interesting one is Anakin actually did balance.
He did balance the Force.
Balance the Force because there were
too many good guys.
There were too many Jedis and only a few Sith lords and even though they were super hyper successful.
I guess even more than that, he balanced it by killing all the good guys.
He did.
Then brought too many bad guys.
Killed them all.
Then Luke kills all the bad guys, and now there's like a couple of good guys
and
like not that many bad guys.
Yeah. So he did balance the Force.
Just in a roundabout way, he balanced the Force. Anywho, so if you want to be successful, be okay with paradoxes.
The other one that I heard this from a movie that I want to watch. I was at work. It was just playing in the break room. I was on my 15-minute break, and there was this movie playing. It's like an older movie. It looked like it was set in maybe the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
And like late 70s, early 80s, and it was a story about a guy who grew up on the poor side of the tracks and was making his transition over through work ethic and merit and trying really hard. And so he went to an Ivy League school. He got in.
Hillbilly Elegy?
Yeah.
Yeah, the J.D. Vance?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, the guy who's like drug addict mom and yeah.
That was a good one because there's this one line out of there where his professor was like, is there any correlation between merit and class? Like good ethics and merit and class. Is there any correlation? And he's like, yes, because merit is rewarded with wealth, and with wealth comes class. And I was like, that is so true. Anybody who is hyper successful, aside from politics, generally comes from has good merit and is honest and is genuine with people.
Yes, you can't steal your way to the top.
Yeah, you can't steal from other people.
Or almost
to the top.
no one
you
can.
You have to have that team mentality where you guys are building together. And again, back to tribalism, you're willing to work for somebody else as long as you're a part of it. Like,
okay, so not to get political, but the kind of people that wanted a government check for COVID spent the check at Amazon, but then also hate Jeff Bezos for not paying taxes, who he's completely legally not paying taxes. The IRS says he doesn't have to pay if he fulfills all these requirements.
Oh, there's a really easy way to get out of paying any taxes at all.
But Jeff Bezos didn't steal his way to the top. He got to the top by giving you exactly what you want, exactly when you want it. And you're happy to give him all your money, and he's happy to take all of it because he's created the best freaking service on earth. And if anyone else was able to do that and beat him and give you something better for cheaper, then everybody would go to them, and he would be no longer successful.
So
I guess he could be a terrible person.
That's true.
But the way he built his business,
the way you get up there is great. But the problem that a lot of people have, and I relate with this, is because if you're playing soccer, and the whole field is like on a hill,
Okay.
You know, one person, like one team is going to have an advantage over the other because it's easier to kick the ball.
So how does
further.
Jeff Bezos have an advantage?
He has because after you get to the top, or when you get the competitive edge and you get to a certain level where you're avoiding taxes because you're good at tax evasion, or not tax evasion, legal.
He probably spends $100 million a year to pay no taxes.
Right. No. Well, I doubt it, but like, I think he pays a lot less than
Accountants
that.
are not cheap.
Well, no, they're not. But you can get a really good accountant for, a couple $100 an hour.
You want to run? Yeah. Okay. So they're going to work a couple $100 an hour, 1,000 hours a year.
Yeah, $2,000 a year. Yeah, that's not
a couple 100,000.
What's 2,000 hours times?
No, I mean he's
200?
got 10 lawyers to make sure he's fulfilling all the law requirements. He's got 10 accountants to all check each other.
Okay.
He's got an internal auditor.
Hold on.
Excellent.
The whole
yeah. We're stepping back.
The whole point of all this is when you get to such a high tier that you're taking, like, for instance, he gets tax write-offs and reimbursements and money from state state-funded taxes.
Yep.
Because he's bringing jobs.
Is he not bringing jobs?
He's not bringing jobs. He has a negative. He's transferring jobs. So when he opens up a warehouse,
so the 30,000 people that work at
the 30,000
his warehouses in Tennessee, wanted to work somewhere else, like
they couldn't work somewhere else because they lost their jobs at their businesses because Amazon beat them in the retail game.
Barnes and Noble?
Yeah, every Barnes and Noble employee
employs 8 people.
The retailing industry was one of the biggest industries for.
Well, so is the carriage business, but you're not ripping on cars and Henry Ford.
Well, the cars created more jobs though, because now you've got car salesmen, mechanics, tire shop people. Like, you got a whole tire industry, you got a whole oil industry, you got a whole,
So the the thousands of people that work back in support for Amazon Online, and the thousands of people that drive, and the thousands of people that are in a warehouse less net jobs than work in stores?
Yes. I think the number is like 1 to 50. So
okay,
for every one job that is at Amazon, took away 50 jobs that were already in place. I think that was the math that I came up with.
Okay, so every retailer should have been better and gotten us better stuff for cheaper, faster. If they had done that, we wouldn't have Amazon.
They should have.
Like Walmart online?
But that's not what happened.
Walmart delivery? Like, Walmart's creating an Amazon service because they already have the huge infrastructure to do that. Like, you can go in store and they've got this, like, locker. And they're like, pick up at locker 15. You scan your QR code on your phone, you pick up all your groceries and leave. Or they'll deliver it to your house in 2 days.
This is a really long...
43? Last 2 were an hour 4.
Oh, well, okay. Well, maybe we'll cut it down in highlights.
I was thinking about doing that. I was like cutting it down to a 20-minute highlight podcast and then put the full one somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, just like full one on a website or something. Websites are so easy.
You need a website.
Yeah.
Sell those stickers.
Sell the stickers?
Absolutely. As we all know, we're creating value here. And the only value is selling you stickers for us. So we are trying to get to that top tier so we too can evade taxes legally. And,
here's how you evade taxes.
We're trying to steal our way to the top.
No, here's how you evade taxes legally.
Buy a yacht and have company meetings.
You have an account. You have a bank account.
Now the IRS is going to find us and call us.
No, that's fine. No, this
is how other people evade taxes.
This is the legal way
for other people. We don't do this.
Yeah,
of course.
No, of course we don't.
We pay lots of taxes.
We always. So the legal way for you to avoid taxes
for you, not us,
is to open up an account in the Cayman Islands and
that's the way that you. That's the wrong. Continue, but
open an account in the Cayman Islands.
Okay.
And run a business in the Cayman Islands. Okay. Their taxes are like bar none there, or any offshore account really that you can basically and have a business, and the whole business is intellectual property. That's it. You sell your intellectual property to other business, and so you have your business, Ace Pool and Spas or whatever.
You sell it to businesses in America and around the world.
Your other business. Yes. So if you have Ace Pool and Spa.
I know this trick, but why does it have to be in the Cayman Islands?
It doesn't have to be in the Cayman Islands. It can be whatever.
I feel like that's the fastest way to get audited 20 years ago, and now no one does it anymore.
Right, obviously, right. So, but I'm just saying, like, you sell your IP, which is all of your profit, and you run a business in America that makes no profit because you're selling, because you have to buy the intellectual property from your other business, which eats up all of your cost. Does that make sense?
Yes, I've been doing this for years.
Okay.
Just minus the Cayman Islands that the IRS.
Okay, so where do you have your intellectual property business? Where is that located?
I think that's an excellent trick if you make enough money. Because if you profit zero,
do you make $100?
I'm saying if you profit zero already, then selling yourself intellectual property and then writing it off to a different business just changes your tax bracket per business. It doesn't actually, if you already make zero profit.
Well, that's fine, but who runs a business at zero profit? That's not a very profitable business.
Any company that's growing. If you can pay yourself a salary and grow instead of pay yourself double, pay taxes on it and not grow, then you're going to grow.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do this.
Anyway, we're not a tax podcast, but that's...
there's just a lot of ways to do it.
You can always go to the Cayman Islands. And
a lot of ways to skin a cat.
Or you could pay off somebody at the IRS to look the other way. Or, alternatively, there's 140,000 small businesses newly started every year, and the IRS doesn't want to look at any of them because it's too boring, and it's much better money to look at Amazon and go, you evaded $1 million of taxes. And they go, you're right, we actually did write off too much. And then they pay the $1 million, and they're done. And then they go after me for $20 that I wrote off for something random because the Cayman Islands, and they're not coming for me. And then I pay them because I wrote off the wrong thing. This is the most plague. I paid payroll tax the other day, and they did that thing. They literally did the thing where they go, oh, did it cut off? Excellent. Well, I'm going to animate this part on Character Animator. So they did that thing to me where...
Oh, battery. This is a battery problem.
Oh, okay. Now we have no battery. So they did that thing to me where they literally say, hey, you owe payroll tax. And I go, how much? And they go, we know the exact number, but we're not going to tell you. And if you don't get the number right, we're going to fine you. And I was like, so how do I know if I have the right number? They're like, here's the instructions. I'm like, can you not just give me the right number if you already know it? They're like, nah. I'm like, all right, here's the number. Is it right? And they go, yeah, okay. Anyway, so I'll just animate that part for TikTok. I know somebody that sells these little rings, and I'm like, you could make twice as much money. And they're like, but then I'd have to quit my job. I'm like, excellent! So freaking quit your job. They're like, to grow, I'd have to quit my job. I'm like, and you like this? Yeah. And you don't like your job? Well, it's okay. So why haven't you quit yet? They're like, I don't know. I was like, okay. So that challenged me to go into the, who's that guy? The Gary Vee way of, I was pushing success on her, and I didn't realize that she likes going to her job because she gets to be social. And if she runs her own business, she has to sit at home and not be social. So she actually enjoys receiving less money than she could because she doesn't have high income goals, and she enjoys being with people.
Yeah.
And having a side business for a little extra cash to go on vacation.
So
I'm like pushing success on somebody that's like, I actually don't desire to make any more money than I'm making now. And I'm like, are you stupid? In a kind way. I feel like I ruined their day by talking to them. But it was challenging, and they made me a better person by making me take a step back, which is what we're changing the name. We're making a series called Taking a Step Back. To grab some ash.
So the paradox that I'm at right now at Costco.
Oh, well, you're going to be successful if you're okay with this paradox, because successful people have to contend with paradox.
Yes. So the double-edged sword is you need money in order to reinvest into businesses. Ozzy, quit it, bro.
Why is he eating leaves? What a psycho.
Why do you like leaves so much, man? They're not that great. I know you don't ever get to see them, but like...
Not the ash, please.
Yeah, you're good. Just,
Anywho,
it's all good. It's all good. I know you can't see. You're going to get your hair cut on Friday.
I was just going to rate these cigars real quick. But What about your Costco thing?
You work so hard for the amount of money that you make at Costco. But then also, it's when the way they hire seasonally, it's literally the Hunger Games. It's quite literally the Hunger Games, because you know that they hired three times. Like, if they have 100 people on staff between part-time and full-time,
yeah,
they hired an additional 60 people, 60 to 100 people
Yep.
for their seasonal positions.
Amazon does that.
And so they have to cut quite literally almost everyone, but they'll keep on a few people because they know that they'll lose a few people every year.
Yep.
So they'll keep on as many as they guess that they'll lose throughout the year, so that they have their 100 by the end of next season, and they can just double up again with more seasonals.
Yep.
So they have to decide who they want to keep and who they want to cut. And so you're just like, you have to be the better employee than anyone else
To not get cut.
to not get cut.
Yeah.
And it's also a very political game. So instead of doing real work last night on like my own business, I did the thing where you've got to hang out with like your employees and do the things and like do the social things so like all the employees love you.
You went to hang out with the boss? Or like...
No, not the boss, but like other employees.
Okay.
You know, I guess if you hang out with the boss, that's cool too. But they're like with their families and they're like not going to spend time with you. So
Yep.
the next best thing is to hang out with the other Ozzy. Stop. The next best thing is to hang out with all the other employees. So I'm playing Tarkov and Call of Duty for like 4 or 5 hours last night to get a good like relationship with all the other permanent employees.
So they recommend you when
So they'll recommend.
cut time comes?
So when cut time comes and like after Christmas, I can get like a letter of recommendation from all my Tarkov and Call of Duty buddies.
They're like, he headshots every time.
He's like,
and also stacks those shelves.
he's like such a good employee. Also, let's not cut him.
Don't cut him. He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
I mean, that's good. So what's the paradox in that?
I can't, like, it costs more to work at Costco than just working at Costco because you have to spend a bunch
as a seasonal like this.
as a seasonal.
They're not
I mean,
having
once you're in, you're kind of in.
Okay.
But to get in, you've got to go above and beyond so far that it's like this is more than a 40-hour-a-week job. This is like your full-time thing until you get in, and then once you're
That's
in,
funny.
you're kind of good.
Is 40 hours not full time anymore? I thought 40 hours was a full time job. You're like, it's
To
not
me,
just-
it's a part-time
You're
job.
like, it's not just
I mean,
a
there's
40
80 hours in a week, so a full-time job to me is 80 hours.
It's 168 hours in a week.
Okay, I'm sleeping for the rest of those and doing other things that are
sleep.
needed in order for me to operate as a human because I am limited. I'm not a
I
robot.
think you sleep 56 at least.
I sleep more than that. I know
Sleep
that.
more than 8 hours?
Yeah, often.
Dang.
Often.
I can't do it.
Well,
If I go to bed,
Okay, so I went to bed 2 o'clock last night and I woke up at 8:30 this morning. How many hours is that?
I don't know. You
that's
said you
the-
got up at 8 and started working on the camera, so
8.
I'm seeing a little inconsistency here.
Yeah, inconsistency. I
I don't care.
I got up at 8. I got up at 8 because Nicole was leaving. She said goodbye, and so I started to do something with the cameras. Like I think I plugged in a battery or something, and then I went to bed for like the next 20 minutes, and then I got back up again, and like, and yeah. So that was my sleep schedule.
For my mom's birthday yesterday, we walked around the Opry and like did the Christmas movies thing. And it was like a 3 mile walk just around the Opry, seeing all the Christmas lights. And I woke up feeling like I was dead. My whole body hurt. I was sore. I was achy. I'm like, am I so out of the like season of working on people's pools and stuff and being active that a 2 mile walk around the Opry kills me that hard? I'm like dragging myself out of bed. Like, where's the Advil? So I was like, I felt like I had skipped 20 years and I'm all achy and sore and old. I'm like, ugh. It was bad.
Yeah. So another cost, a hidden cost of being a business owner, I think, is just stress. And you're really stress adverse. Like your stress tolerance is
I have
high.
yes. I suppose I have a high stress tolerance naturally.
I don't because I'm a yes man, so I say yes to everything. And then when I can't fulfill, I just like
stressed to death.
stressed to
I
death.
suppose I manage that by reducing the amount of stress I have to deal with. And then when I actually have to deal with stress, I don't know, stuff just doesn't bother me. Like, people are super mad at me for a lot of different things, and I'm like, okay, sorry, I'm gonna try and do better. I get stressed more about my own performance. I'm like, that was my fault. I did something stupid, and I'm mega stressed instantly. But if it's like, oh, sorry, your order's late because
What's the stupidest thing that you've ever done in your life? You don't have something ready to go? I'll tell you.
I don't
I'll tell you
have something
the
ready to go.
stupidest moment in my entire
I do
life.
lots of
I
stupid
have it.
things
I
kinda
remember it because
regularly.
it comes up in like my repertoire of memories. Like I'll just like be zoning out while driving or something, and this moment haunts me to this day.
Therapy.
Well, I'm like, I look back and I'm like, how was I so retarded as a kid? Like, how did I make this? Like, what was I like? I go back and I'm like, what was I thinking? What in the heck was I thinking? Like, this is the pinnacle of the most brain dead thing that I've ever done.
I mean, I do that every 6 months. I'm like, how was I so stupid last year? And then next year comes and I'm like, how was I so stupid?
This is the pinnacle.
Just spit it out.
I was in a vocal group. Okay. And this was when I was performing pretty well with the violin. Okay. My vocalist was like, hey, all the females were doing a piece and we want an accompaniment with the violin. And so I was 15, maybe. You asked out every girl 16?
On the accompaniment at the same time.
And my parents couldn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't get my violin to the final thing.
Okay.
So I didn't have my violin. And I was like, I'm so sorry, I don't have my violin. And she's like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. It's like, great. Whew. Got off easy. But the way that we did a vocalist thing, and then it was the girls' turn, and so the guys left the stage, and I stayed up there because I was used to staying up there because I was used to having my violin, and I stayed up there.
So you stay up there with no violin?
With no violin, and I'm up there.
And the girls' group is like, oh.
Yeah, the girls' group were like, oh. And I was like, I'm up here without a violin. Like, do I leave mid?
And they started?
And they started. I'm like, I'm up here, and I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, do I fake?
You're just like
something?
You grab the mic. You're like,
and like, do I like mouth sync? Do I just like, oh, you know,
you sing violin parts?
Sing?
Like,
that's what I did.
What? You mouth sang violin notes. That is awful. I guess it was on stage. That's pretty rough.
Oh, this is the stage fright got the best of me, man, and I didn't know what to do, and I was just like, and I think like after just 2 seconds, like, that's not it. But then like, well, what do I do? Like, just
and you can't just walk off after doing that because then everybody's like, who's this idiot?
So I'm like, what's the least distracting thing that I could do right now?
Wow.
And I just mouthed violin parts.
Just like slowly
silently
fade into the fetal position.
Just cry in a corner for the next decade of my life.
Girls are just holding the candle up like, okay.
And I think that I'm not friends with any of them because of that.
Excellent. That's good, probably. Wow, that's awful. I mean, I would let that go if I was you, but wow, that's terrible. I have no stupidest thing I've ever done off the top of my head. But I do have a most embarrassing thing.
Okay.
I got a new swimsuit that was really cheap. And we were on like a kind of like a riverboat where they stop at like it's like a pontoon boat, but it's a guided tour kind of thing. And you jump off every 20 minutes and like slide down these like rock waterfalls that have been like carved out into water slides. And I slid down one and my pants ripped all the way down the back. So it was not a good look. But I didn't notice for like 2 or 3 stops. And I was always in the front of the line because I'm like, I'm running up this hill to go up the waterfall. Then I'm like 12 or 13. There's like 20 girls standing behind me laughing the whole time. And they're like, and I'm like, I think I'm a pretty good looking dude. I don't know why they're all laughing at me. And then I go down and my mom's like, oh my gosh, when did your pants rip? I'm like, I know exactly when they ripped. I just didn't think anything of it. And I've been standing embarrassingly in front of all these girls that now hate me, and I'll never have a chance with them. But I was going to see them for one day on this tour anyway, so it doesn't matter. So then I like don't get up. I sit down for the rest of the hour or two, and I'm like,
I have to sit here
because I can't be seen.
I remember when I was 7 years old, and I was working with my neighbor, and we were like hauling rocks or like cement cylinders or something like that, and just like some extreme manual labor for a 7-year-old.
Cement cylinders.
They were like little
some drain pipes.
They were cement cylinders. We were creating a retainer wall.
Okay.
For his
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those little tubes of
cement.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets them for free
like
from
20
some.
pounds or
they're
something.
they're like an off-grade cement that you
just-
can't use commercially.
You
So he
build a
gets them for free.
stupid retaining wall out of it.
Exactly.
And it works.
So we were doing that,
Yeah.
and my pants ripped, and one of the other neighbors came over. A female. Not that it matters, female, whatever.
Well, it does when you're 7 and you're
I
like,
was 7, I was like, "There's a
"Whoa."
female here, and my pants ripped. Can I go home?" And he's like, "No, just finish the wall." And I was like, my home is like 5 minutes that way. Can I just walk home and change my pants because they ripped, and I have ripped pants, and there's a lady right here. And he's like, no, that's fine, just go. And like, he had the perspective of like, it doesn't matter, no one cares.
Well, yeah, because he's an old dude.
Because he's an old dude, and I'm like,
He's like, I'll take my pants off
But-
and it makes you feel better. You're like,
that wouldn't have, but
you're like, no,
no,
I'm
not
a
anything. Oh,
That would have been twice as traumatizing.
but yeah, I remember that, and it's just like, things that don't matter now matter so much when you're younger.
Oh yeah. So I had this bizarre. This going back to like every 6 months, I look back and I'm like, why was I so dumb? I thought when I was in that moment 6 months ago or a year ago, I thought that I was very aware, I was very alert, I was sure of what I was doing. But then I look back and go, who gave me the right to think I could do that and get away with it? So Madison was just talking about somebody that is thinking of getting married, and we're like, those are kids. They can't get married. They're like dumb and they don't have an income and like they have no way to provide for themselves. Wait a minute. We made no money. She made like $19,000 the year that we got married, and I made like $28,000. And we thought that we were cool enough to get married, and I guess we did. And at the time, we were like, "Oh, we got this handled. We got everything down."
Speaking of which,
looking back-
being married at a young age is so much better than being single.
So what's the holdup? If it's so much better,
living
what's the holdup?
living with someone is so much better because you don't have to pay rent by yourself. You can share all of the different expenses, and it's just like having 12 kids, like cheaper by the dozen. It's like such a true phenomenon, where it's like, yes,
Cheaper by the dozen wives. What do you?
people like
Peop-
just if you wanted to have 12 kids right now, that would be each kid cost would be cheaper overall.
Yes, 'cause-
and it'd be more attainable. Like, yes, it's like buying in bulk. It's like, why would you buy all of the windows all at once? Well, because you could save more.
Yep.
So that whole phenomenon, it works with when you.
Are you saying living with somebody or being married? Because if you say married, I'm gonna say okay. So get with it.
Yeah, I know what you would say. Anyways, yeah, no, I don't have the income, I guess, to get married, or
That's
I'm
what you
trying not
think.
to be stupid, young and dumb.
What do you make?
Like
We'll cut the actual
like-
number.
20. No, I don't have to cut. I'm like $20,000 a year right now.
Okay, so I made 28 the year I got married.
Yeah, so I was making 28 maybe.
So you're
That's
qualified
eight-
to get married
that's-
according to my stupid standard.
Well,
That doesn't matter.
you made almost 50% more than I'm making right now.
It's not 50% more. It's like
Eight-
20% more.
8,000
It's-
over
okay, it's
20,000.
25% more. It's a quarter more.
25% more would be $5,000 more.
Okay, so 10% of 20 is 2. So 20% of 20 is 4. I made 40% more the year I got married.
Okay.
How much did Nicole make?
Like 38.
Okay, and Madison made 19 the
Well,
year
yeah,
we got married.
Yeah, Nicole makes a lot more.
So 20 and 38?
Mhm.
So 20 and 38, so 68?
Mhm.
You make more than I make now, collectively at least.
Collectively, yeah.
Collectively, you make more than we do now. So what's the holdup?
She's not the one buying the ring.
Well, apparently it's free.
It's not free because I gotta like get it worked on and stuff.
Okay, so what's that cost?
I don't know.
We're taking a step back here.
$1,000, $2,000.
So it's 20 divided by 12? Some number? It's like,
I would have been married 6 months ago if I had $2,000.
so you're saying she wouldn't marry you if you gave her a plastic ring?
I just wouldn't do that.
Well, I know you wouldn't, but I also wouldn't when I got married, and then I did somehow because I was dumb enough to say, sure. Well, also she was like, so this is actually what put me over the edge. I was like, I'm poor, I'm useless, I have
remember
no
this,
money,
yeah.
I have no income, I can't support a family or a wife. The way that my parents always taught me to be a good citizen and a good man.
Provider, yeah.
Provider. But that doesn't account for sort of the like, not that our women are feminists, but they're fine to work and they're happy to work. Obviously, they don't want you to be broke because when they have kids, they want you to have some income. So that's a good idea for them to have. But also, the thing that pushed me over the edge was she goes, it's been a year and a half. If we're not married in the next year, I'm not saying I'm leaving you in 12 months, but if we're not married at the end of a year from now, I'm going to ask you if you're wasting my time because I have 15 years to have kids and you're wasting them. Because if I have to dump you, I have to start again and take 3 years to get married again. And if that doesn't work, I have to do it again. And then I have 4 years to have kids left. And I'm like, but she didn't say it exactly like that. But she's like, are you wasting my time? Do you have the intention to get married very soon? Like within a year? And I'm like, I can't imagine myself being married right now. But I also can't imagine losing you. So if that's what it takes to keep you, I will find a way to make myself okay with my stupid income if you're okay with it. And it basically came down to she saw the potential. She's like, you make no money. I only made marginally more than she did. But she saw the potential for my income to skyrocket in 5 to 10 years when the kids would be coming that she can't work anymore. So she saw the potential in me, which I guess pumped up my self-esteem and was like, okay, I can do this. But also I rose to the challenge and was like, now I have to do something with that. And she's still working, which is the only reason we have enough money to live. But I know that there's like a ticking time bomb on kids. And I'm like, in the next 2 to 5 years, I have to replace her income myself. And I don't like, it's such a stupid thought to be like, that pressure made me do better. But without that pressure, I was just sitting on my hands, basically. Like, I thought I was working hard, but I really started working hard when the pressure of like, and you have to pay the whole rent next month. I'm like, ha. And then suddenly I got off my hands. Which, that's what I'm saying, is looking back, I thought I was working hard then. Looking back now, I'm like, I was doing nothing.
You have to, it takes time to, because... Not to rip on.
I gotta be done. This is too small. The nub has nubbed out. And that was a full hour smoke.
Yeah.
Wow. Out of this tiny little thing.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm buying.
Yeah.
This is my goal for my life, is to be the world's most famous nub smoker and have the nub brand make a cigar called the Alex. Because I'm the Churchill cigar. Churchill's got his own size, his own thing. It's the nub. The nub is now the Alex.
So we
Anyways,
rip
that's
on,
my story.
We rip on what's his
I don't know.
what's that, the kid who couldn't dig, who would just dig when we were working on the, what's his name? Howie.
Yeah.
Howie. We rip on Howie a lot because we were the story was we were working on a pool,
Digging a ditch, essentially.
we were digging a ditch basically,
Digging a
and
20-foot round, 6-inch deep ditch.
it was just 6 inches. We just dig in 6 inches.
It was like 100 wheelbarrows full.
Right, and we were just like,
And it was 95 degrees.
Getting it done. It was hot. It was, the client wasn't paying enough. All of the above.
I didn't charge enough. Yeah, it was all awful.
All awful. But this kid,
But I needed 10 guys to come and help me dig.
For like
So I just
a
took
day.
anybody. I was like, please, anybody come and help me dig.
anybody, yeah. So you got this kid from Home Depot, and he's like sitting there, like not really making a dent in anything. Like
It was the
like
definition
doing,
of looking busy, but actually doing nothing.
exactly,
And everybody else is like
we're all sweating, dripping,
running,
and
like
just,
timing ourselves with the wheelbarrow run to
like
dump
we're
the
like,
dirt.
Yeah, we're like competing with each other and how many wheelbarrows we can get. And
Yeah.
he's over here like twisting the shovel to try to get like a little tiny like handful of dirt.
So then we started asking him, like, are you okay? You like have heat stroke?
Yeah,
like,
what's,
you need
what's
something?
happening?
He's like, no.
I'm just pacing myself for the next 12 hours. Like, we're not going to be here.
I'm like, it's 2 o'clock. We're not going to be here at 2 a.m.
Yeah, pace yourself for like an hour or two and
Then we'll go to lunch, and then we'll come back and do 2 more hours.
Yeah, and so just give us all you got. And then he like,
3 shovels of power.
and then he's like, yeah, we're like, yeah, now keep that up.
Yeah,
and
keep
I was
it
like,
going.
we were like, yeah, that's what we needed. That's what $15 an hour looks like. And he like makes it for like 60 seconds.
and then he's back to like,
And he's like, oh, that was so much.
yeah. And then the next
He was
time-
actually just a really scrawny dude. I don't think ever worked in
he was a
his
small
life.
dude. His weight on the shovel was barely enough
Exactly.
to do anything.
Yeah,
but he
like
was
100
not
pounds wet.
using the 100 pounds of wet.
He wasn't using any leverage. He never used a shovel before.
He might have just never used a shovel before.
And
Maybe we're too hard on him.
We were
but
pretty
the
hard
other
on-
people we had were like football player Davey,
Yeah.
who's like, pfft. And then his friend David, who's like 6'4", And he's the guy who's famous at Boy Scouts for like lifting 2 other kids by his arms and like running across the finish line of the sack race.
Actual Hulk. Yeah.
He's like sack racing, and he picks up the 2 smallest kids so they don't get last, and like runs them to 4th place. And you're like, what? And he's like, I have an alternate personality that I called Makov. It's my Russian side. I just go full Hulk. And I'm like, I don't want to see that. Like, you normal is great. You're doing great as you are.
So
little Howie was competing with that, and he's like 5'6" or 5'8".
So defeated.
So we were probably too hard on him.
He probably is traumatized from that moment.
We may have needed to push him,
but maybe not that hard.
But maybe he's also just never used a shovel, and he's like trying to figure out how his hands work, because he was like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
I was tiny, 17 or 18, and I was probably weak, but I like really tried, and I would like hurt myself trying, and I was not. Maybe it was just that I was not feeling the energy.
Why did I bring up?
Why did you bring that up?
Of Howie? I'm trying to remember.
Oh gosh, we get so much in the weeds. We got to take a step back.
It was. Why did I bring up Howie? Because
I was talking about
pacing yourself. Oh yeah, because the actual ability to work hard. Like, because you're saying a long time ago, you look at yourself and you're like, I wasn't working hard. You can't just instantly turn on amazing work ethic and endurance, and you have to work up to it. Just like working up to sitting through 8 hours of YouTube videos every day and learning something. You just can't start out doing that. Your mind would actually melt. Like, you just can't retain it. You have to build up the ability to retain information.
You gain more capacity as you work more.
Yeah, so, like, if you're thinking of, like, equate it to, like, an RGB, role-playing game.
RPG. RGB is the lights.
Yeah, RPG, role-playing game.
You're leveling up.
You're leveling up. You actually have to level up your own person and actually be good at things. And, that's where, like, experience and being able to work hard and work ethic and all that stuff, it's like you build off of that. And so you 6 months ago is going to be a lot worse at this thing because you're just better at it and more endurance and all this other stuff. So you can't be hard on yourself.
Maybe that's why I was hard on him, is because I'm seeing myself like 5 years before, and I'm like, me 5 years ago, I think was a hard worker, but maybe I'm just projecting my hard-working self now. I think
you are, because you can be a hard worker at 10 years old because you were learning. Like at 7, I was doing stuff with like older guys, and I was like, I had a better work ethic because I started at 7. I didn't start at 17. I had a 10-year advantage on Howie, and so when you look at a 17-year-old who can't do anything, you're like. So, but like you look at Vanderbilt students the same way. I was like working with some Vanderbilt. We had a bachelor party, and all these guys are Ivy League, super intelligent, super book smart,
very genius,
very genius guys. I mean,
and you give them a hammer, and they're like,
exactly. I was like, why would we go to a throwing battle axe place and throw axes at a piece of wood when you could buy axes for $50 and a target and build the target and all this other stuff. And hey.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Wanted to make sure y'all work. Do you have work today?
Mm-hmm.
What time?
3 o'clock.
Okay, excellent. I want to make sure y'all are not
I'm tracking.
just talking.
You're
Oh
the best,
yeah.
thanks.
We are just talking though. That's
we
true.
do have to end the episode at some point.
At some point, we'll skip around and edit it.
Another hour and a half.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right.
Bring your sunglasses.
Yeah,
Bring your
I
sunglasses.
didn't know it was so bright.
It
all
is
good.
pretty bright. Yeah. So you got all these Vanderbilt kids who are super smart, and I was like, instead of spending $200-300 on battle axe throwing for the group of us, let's just spend $100 and build our own throwing course out in the backyard. Because why not? I can go to Home Depot, buy some wood, buy some nails. I got a hammer, whatever. And I felt like such a dad to all these Vanderbilt graduates when I was like, here's how you use the hammer. Go ahead, I'll line it up for you. I'll hold the board. Go ahead. And they just loved it. They were like, I'm getting a hammer. And I was just like, this is so cute.
That's so funny.
It's so cute. And
then I came over later and was like, you're trying to throw axes at a piece of plywood?
I didn't think of that. I was like, these axes are brand new. They're super sharp. And I didn't realize how not soft
plywood is like
OBS
stiff,
board.
Awful.
Yeah. And I was just like, I needed like a soft wood. And I just...
Yeah, you needed to do something like line up 10 2x4s and squish those between the stand.
2x4s even.
So it was like, I don't know, they're pretty hard,
are
but
still too hard.
just
You
the
need
gaps.
like a really soft wood that they don't sell at. They don't sell soft wood at Home Depot.
I don't know. I
They
guess you
just
need
don't.
a stump that they use at the actual axe throwing place.
In reality, what we ended up doing was we took a stump out of the woods that was just sitting
You
there.
just found one?
We found one. We pulled one out of the woods and spray painted it and just said, here's your target, guys. And we started
Excellent.
throwing at that. And so we ditched our hard work and labor of love.
Even better.
But they loved building it, and I knew that they would, and it was just a great experience all together.
And you learned something too. You learned how to lick your cigars from what's his name?
Bruce is so smart, and I hate it because he's right. He's right.
Why didn't you lick this one?
Because it's so dumb. You just don't do it.
You can't have me making another TikTok about you sucking on.
That can't be a common thing. That's a one-off.
Oh my gosh.
That's a one-off.
Anywho, well, what an excellent episode.
Yeah. Anyways, I love this. This was great.
I think it was actually close to an hour because that says an hour 16, but we started it and then I went and got coffee and we got the ashtray, the $150. So I'm thinking about making like a metal edge for this with cigar holders on it.
Ooh.
So then it can be a nice ashtray because I don't want to buy the $400. There's this guy online that sells a $400 ashtray that's just solid, perfect, clear glass with little cigar cutouts. It's so beautiful. I want it. I need it. But $400.
$400. Yeah.
You can give me that when you make your first million. I want for Christmas a glass $400 ashtray. I think it's crystal is why it's so expensive.
Oh, well, that's why.
And
yeah.
also he's got a really premium sort of brand going.
Yeah, if it's crystal, then yeah, crystal's.
Yeah, this is crystal.
Is it?
Yeah, that's why it's a $150 bowl. Look at it. It's like, oh yeah, my grandma has one of those on her mantle, and she got it at the thrift store for $3. This is a crystal bowl, and you know because it's heavy, and it says Waterford on the bottom. Waterford wine glasses, $60 a piece.
It breaks just like glass, though.
Well, that's why you don't break it.
That's
That's why your grandma has one, because she doesn't break it.
I don't. Yeah, I guess.
Anywho, I'm just using it for that.
Nicole.
It's a wedding present.
So Ozzy pulled over a tree the other day.
He pulled a tree down?
Pulled the Christmas tree down.
Oh.
And yeah, he like grabbed one of the ribbons that was on it, and he just like yanked it, and it just like fell.
Nicole called Madison, was like,
crying.
This dog freaking peed on everything. He knocked the tree over.
She was like, I'm gonna murder this dog, and but she's
she would, but she couldn't afford to. It's too expensive of a dog.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny because it's like she has this tradition of buying these glass ornaments that are like these high-end.
Yeah, they're like $20 a piece.
They're like $70, $80 a piece for
a
these.
Piece?
Yeah,
it's gotta be like for a 4-pack or something.
No. They're $80 ornaments each.
I could put a hole in this. She can hang a crystal bowl.
I know.
Very expensive.
So it's. But they break so easily, and I'm just
They're
like
so thin.
I'm like, why would you put so much value on something so, like, because you're like, it's like you're building it into the tradition.
Yeah.
You're building like sentimental value into something that can be so easily shattered. Like, just don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Like, that whole premise. That's just like a bad idea. And I know that you enjoy it. I know that it's like a thing, and you like the pretty, and it's nice, and you just don't. Like, I'm just like, don't do that. I'm like, don't ever use drywall in your home.
Every home
has drywall, but like,
you know how much of a plague it is to have a concrete house? In Turkey, we had a house that was made of concrete.
Well, you can't wire anything.
You can't wire anything, so there's like wires literally going across. And then you try and hang a picture, and you're like, and your drill like burns out trying to drill a hole.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just trying to hang a picture here.
Yeah. But I mean, so much better is to just like, my granddad has Roland has got these wooden siding, wood side walls, and you just got like these screws. Screw them in.
Yep.
You can screw them out. You can take the board off, do your wiring, put it back in, throw something at the wall really hard. Doesn't break. I love it.
Specific aesthetic.
It's a very specific aesthetic, but it's the utilitarian value out of it is so juicy, guys.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's that with wealth comes class, and she sort of comes from wealth, so she has class, and you have no class because you never went to school, but also you have no class because you're not wealth.
Yeah, but if you can't buy an ornament, let it break, and then just have enough money to just replace it, for it to have, like, for it to cause you stress and anxiety, that's not smart.
Okay, you say that, but then say you give her $1,000 engagement ring, and then she loses it, and if you can't just replace it,
insurance. That's what insurance is for.
You're gonna get insurance forever on a ring?
Yeah.
What, $10 a month? In 10 years, you lose it once a year. It's cost you more than the ring.
10 years for $10 for a month for 50 years is probably worth a $60,000 ring. Yeah.
Are you giving her a $60,000 ring?
That's what she inherited. That's the heirloom. It's just a rock.
Wow.
$60,000 rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why she has class.
Because she inherited a ring.
No, because her family is the one that gave it to her, and they're the ones with the money, and she grew up with them.
Hold on.
So
But
you have no class. Get with it.
I have merit,
Haven't-
which is equated with class.
You should have brought the Monte Cristo so we could have some class. Bring those next time.
You'll come over to my house.
Excellent. We'll have that
Monte
next time.
Cristos. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's end the podcast
All right.
at an hour 20. Good stuff.
That's good.
Buy those Grabin Ash stickers.
Yeah.
Or we just give them away for free. They're like 30 cents.
Oh, what we'll do? Here's what we'll do. We will a rally.
We'll give you
It's
a
a
sticker.
it's a raffle. Not a
No,
rally.
even better. We give you a sticker. All you have to do is stick it to your humidor and post a picture on Instagram. Exposure.
Basically.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Basically.
Or a
except
Say
yeah.
a rally? You mean a raffle?
Yeah, I meant raffle.
Raffle.
So raffle.
Yeah.
It's $15
Uh-huh.
to enter the raffle. We'll give you a sticker.
Okay.
The sticker isn't worth $15.
Okay.
You know that.
Yeah.
But we'll select a few handful,
Okay.
and we'll give you 50 stickers. And if you win the raffle, you get the 50 or 100 stickers. We haven't decided yet. And what you have to do is you have to post these stickers in a bunch of hotspots and post a picture of it. Not post a picture of it, but just
You
like
pay $15 to stick stickers to things?
yeah. You post the
We're going to send them a cigar or something with their purchase of a raffle?
No, just the stickers. But
Excellent
you,
idea.
post them on post them at like different bars or like different places.
I keep saying, let's end the podcast.
All right, we'll end it.
Excellent.
That's
What
fine.
is it? No raffle. Or maybe
Well, I'm working on it.
We'll have a rally.
it'll-
You can pay $15 to come to our rally.
Yeah.
Stick a sticker.
Stop, wrap.
All right, the end.